My name's Ian Parkinson, and what we're doing here today, I'm working on behalf of the Media Trust, and what we're doing today is talking to people about getting their message across, getting across in new social and digital media, campaigning on Twitter, on Facebook, and how charities and smaller organisations can use that to reach the right audience at little or no cost and get across the message that they want to get across. Can I ask some questions before we start? How many people have got a Facebook account here? Stick your hand up. Most. Okay, stick your hand up again if you're on Facebook at least once a day. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Do you want to just leave your hand up? That would be. Twitter. How many people have got a Twitter account here? Okay, slightly fewer. Is that for work or for personal? Personal. Okay, both. Okay, so how many people have got a work Twitter account? One. All right, that's interesting. Okay, how many people use Facebook for work purposes? I mean, strictly for work purposes, yeah? As opposed to, yeah? Okay. Who's on Spotify? Anyone on Spotify? Yeah, 1, 2. Okay. Ning? Anyone got a presence on Ning? Yeah, okay, one person, a couple of people on Ning. You may want to come up here, actually, rather than be down there. Okay, that's good to get an idea of what sort of level people are at. And what sort of experience people have. The very first one, if you're trying to get a message across about your organisation, about your campaign, about your issue, what's the very first thing you need to think about? Yeah, I think there's something you have to think about even before that.
The target audience.
Yeah, I think you need to think about your audience first of all, and before you do anything else. And I think that's a mistake that too many organisations make as well, that they spend 80% of their time thinking about the website, thinking about the design of the website and what sort of technology they're going to use, which bit of social media they're going to be on, whether they should be on Facebook, whether they should be on Ning, whether they should be on Twitter. And I don't necessarily think, who are you trying to reach? Most organisations, almost every organisation I work with has countless audiences. You have your clients, you have people who fund you, you have your own staff, you have people that in local authority that you may be responsible to. You have all kinds of stakeholders. All of those are different audiences. All of those need different messages, I think, and all of them can probably be reached by different means. And what is it you want them to do for you? Because until you understand that, you can't understand what your message is and indeed what method you want to get them. Scrabble was launched in 1938. It was invented by a married couple who sold it to shops. They sold it to their friends. Everyone who tried it loved it. It was a great game. In 14 years, they sold 2,400 sets of Scrabble to shops. When Facebook launched Scrabulous on its site about 18 months ago, 500,000 people were playing it within a year of its launch. It took radio 38 years to reach a point where it had 50 million listeners. It took TV 13 years to get 50 million viewers. The internet, or the World Wide Web to be precise, hit 50 million users in 4 years, from 1995 when it was launched, I think. The iPod, hello. The iPod had 50 million users after 3 years, and Facebook had 100 million in 9 months after it was launched, and it's still growing exponentially. If Facebook was a country, how big would it be? Any guess? If Facebook was a country, its population would put it as 4th largest in the world, behind the United States, China and India. It currently has 400 million active users. 400 million active users is 70 different languages. Every day, 50% of that 400 million use Facebook. So 200 million people a day at the moment. And it is still growing. The latest figures don't show any sign of it slowing down. Twitter is catching up. Twitter really accelerated over the last year. So Twitter at the moment has about 50 million users. And what's quite interesting, in the last year, it grew 900%. last year was an extraordinary growth year for Twitter. The interesting thing is that other people can choose to follow you, and you can choose to follow other people. So if other people decide that they're interested in what you have to say, they sign up to follow you, which is a one click of a button. And everything that you say appears on their page as well. And if you decide to follow them, everything that they say appears on your page. So everybody's page is different because everybody follows different people. If you follow 20 people, you have 20, a selection of 20 messages, or the potential to have messages from 20 people. If you follow 1,000, then you have a much broader spread. Twitter and Facebook, etc., they're just like a big party. They're a party with 500 million people. Twitter's a party with 50 million people at it. But just like any other party, if you go to a party, you've got to have something to say. There's no point going there and not saying anything to anyone. Choose the right people to talk to, have something interesting to say, people will invite you back. Same with Facebook. And my final bit of advice would be just have a go. If you're not doing it at the moment on behalf of your organisation, have a go. Find someone who does, hire my daughter, or my 10-year-old. Find someone who does understand social media, and find out where the people who have similar interests to you, similar campaign issues to you, find out where they're talking, go and talk to them there. Be prepared to make mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes. Bill Gates makes mistakes, I make mistakes, more mistakes than Bill Gates, and Steve Jobs makes mistakes. Everybody working in digital media makes mistakes. It doesn't matter. Most of them don't cost you money. Give it a go and stay flexible. Well, we just finished the session, and I think they went okay. From my point of view, they went okay. The audience seemed engaged. No one actually fell asleep. It's always difficult with when you're talking about new media, because you're not sure exactly how advanced some people are. Some people, I always ask, do people understand how Twitter works? And almost always there's someone who puts up their hand and says, no, they don't. So you need to explain that before you go on to explaining the more complex things. But the basic principles of communication, whether you're on new media or old media, are the same. You need to have something to say, you need to decide who you're going to say it to, and you need to say it as clearly and as simply and engagingly as possible. From that point of view, I hope it went okay.